Welcome back to my channel, Famous and Fabulous. The 6 actors Jack Elam hated the most. Jack Elam was born William Scott Jack Elam on November 13, 1918 in Miami, Arizona. He grew up when America was having a really hard time with money problems called the Great Depression and big changes in the 1920s and 1930s. Elam's early life was tough, but he was strong and never gave up when things got hard. When he was a little boy, something terrible happened that changed his life forever. He got in a fight with another boy at school and lost sight in his left eye. That accident was really sad, but later it became one of the things that made him famous. It gave him a special squint that everyone could recognize when they saw him in movies. His lazy eye, as people called it, wasn't something Hettried to hide. Instead, he was proud of it, and over time it became part of what made him special in Hollywood. Before he became an actor, Jack Elam had many different jobs that showed he was a hard worker who could do lots of things. He went to Santa Monica Junior College to learn about accounting, which is keeping track of money for businesses. After he finished school, he worked as a bookkeeper and someone who checked company money records for many different companies. Actually, Elam was really good at accounting long before he ever acted in a movie. He worked with big businesses and even movie companies, which gave him his first taste of what Hollywood was like. It wasn't until the late 1940s and early 1950s, when he was in his 30s, that he decided to try acting for real. His unusual looks, rough, tough presence, and that unmistakable eye problem made him stand out from other actors. The people who chose actors for movies quickly figured out that Elam could be the perfect bad guy for the rough cowboy movies and crime shows of that time. Elam's career really took off in the 1950s, when he became known, but in a good way, as one of Hollywood's most memorable bad guys. He often played gunfighters, bad guy helpers, and sneaky outlaws whose scary presence could instantly make a scene feel dangerous. Some of his first and most famous movies were Rawhide in 1951 and High Noon in 1952, 2 classic cowboy movies where he proved himself as a really good supporting actor. His rough face, squinting eye, and gravelly voice gave him a special presence that audiences couldn't forget. For many years, he was the perfect example of the Western bad guy, the kind of outlaw who didn't need anyone to explain who he was. Just seeing him on screen was enough to warn viewers that trouble was coming. But Jack Elam was more than just a villain. By the 1960s and 1970s, he started doing more funny roles, showing Hollywood that he could do much more than just play outlaws and killers. His timing, facial expressions, and ability to make fun of his own scary image made him really good at comedy. One of his most celebrated roles was in Mel Brooks' 1974 funny Western movie Blazing Saddles, where he appeared in a memorable small part during the film's big final battle scene. Elam also starred in lighter movies like Support Your Local Sheriff in 1969 and Support Your Local Gunfighter in 1971, where his humor shined just as brightly as his scariness once had. He proved that even actors known for being tough could change themselves and do well in new types of movies. Television also became a big part of Elam's career. He appeared in countless cowboy TV shows including Gunsmoke, Bonanza, Cheyenne, and Have Gun Will Travel. Later, he was a main character in the popular series Alias Smith and Jones and brought his special presence to the Dakotas and Temple Houston. In the 1980s, younger audiences got to know him in the comedy series Easy Street, where he acted alongside Lonnie Anderson and Julie Harris. His change from scary outlaw to lovable old man made him popular with people of all ages. When he wasn't acting, Jack Elam was known as a warm, funny, and down-to-earth man, quite different from many of the villains he played. Friends and other actors often remembered his humor, kindness, and willingness to share stories about Hollywood's golden days. He had a reputation as a complete professional who could make a movie set fun with both his acting and his personality. During his long career, Jack Elam appeared in more than 200 movies and television programs, leaving behind a legacy that few character actors could match. His ability to captivate audiences, whether by scaring them as a gunslinger or making them laugh with his comedic timing, made him one of the most versatile and beloved actors of his time. Jack Elam's personal life was marked by 2 important marriages that not only shaped his private world, but also gave him stability throughout his often unpredictable Hollywood career. His first marriage was to Jean-Louise Higet, a relationship that began in 1937. Long before Elam found fame as one of Hollywood's most recognizable character actors. At that time, Elam was still a young man trying to find his place in the world, and his marriage to Jean gave him a sense of being grounded and having purpose. The couple stayed married for nearly 25 years, sharing life's ups and downs together, including the years before Elam's acting career took off in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Their marriage lasted for 24 years, which was really hard to do in Hollywood circles where many marriages fall apart because of fame and constant work. Sadly, their time together was cut short when Jean died of colon cancer on January 24, 1961. Her death was a terrible blow to Elam, who had depended on her for strength during his growing up years and early career struggles. Jean's death left an empty space in his personal life, one that Elam would carry with him forever, even as he eventually moved forward. Despite his sadness, Elam did not stay alone for long. Just 7 months after Jean's death in August of 1961, he married again, this time to Margaret M. Jennison. How quickly he remarried might have made some people raise their eyebrows, but for Elam, who had spent most of his adult life in the comfort of a committed relationship, having a companion was a vital part of his life. Margaret gave him new emotional stability and became a supportive partner during the height of his acting career. By the early 1960s, Elam was in high demand, appearing in a wide variety of movies and television shows, often playing the colourful villains, drunks, and weird characters that made him beloved by audiences. Margaret was there for all of it, handling the challenges that came with being married to a man whose work required constant travel and long hours on movie sets. Unlike the short romances often seen in Hollywood, Jack and Margaret's marriage lasted not just through the glamorous periods of his career, but also through the quieter years when he worked less frequently. Their marriage would last an amazing 42 years, proving the bond they shared and the strong foundation they built together. During this time, the couple created a private, happy life away from the spotlight, especially in their later years when Elam slowed down his work and chose to spend more time at home. Their lasting partnership showed not only their devotion to one another, but also Jack's deep appreciation for stability after a career filled with constant change. The love and companionship he shared with Margaret was very different from the often lonely roles he played on screen, highlighting the difference between Jack Elam, the actor, and Jack Elam, the man. Sadly, their marriage came to an end, not through separation or divorce, but with Jack's passing. On October 20th, 2003, after more than 4 decades together, Elam died at their home in Ashland, Oregon, from congestive heart failure at the age of 82. His death marked the close of a remarkable life and career, but it also brought an end to one of the most lasting chapters of his personal story, his marriage to Margaret. She had stood by his side through decades of work, victories and struggles, and together they had built a life defined by love, loyalty, and strength. In the end, Jack Elam's 2 marriages tell a story not only of loss and starting over, but also of how important companionship was in his life, a theme as touching as any role he ever played on screen. Jack Elam, the legendary Western character actor known for his distinctive lazy eye, scary looks, and surprisingly versatile comedic timing, was not just a master of the screen, he was also a man who had strong opinions about his fellow actors. While many remember him fondly for his humour and friendly personality behind the scenes, Elam was honest, sometimes harshly so, about the actors he disliked the most. Over the course of his long career, which lasted over 5 decades, he developed both personal and professional problems with certain co-stars and other actors from his time. The following is a detailed look at the 6 actors he reportedly hated the most, complete with Elam's own pointed observations in quotation marks, which offer rare insight into his private thoughts about Hollywood peers. 1. Gary Cooper. Elam's dislike toward Gary Cooper was particularly strong. Even though Cooper was one of the most respected and beloved stars of his time, Elam found him annoyingly aloof and, in his words, an actor who thought he was better than everyone else on the set. He often told stories of working on cowboy movies, where Cooper's standoffish behavior clashed with the team spirit of the crew. Elam said, "You'd stand there on a dusty set trying to catch a cue, and he'd just glare at you like you were a mosquito buzzing near his ear. It made me want to throw my hat at him." He disliked the way Cooper treated supporting actors, believing that this self-importance often overshadowed the work of talented character actors, who were vital to making films memorable. Cooper's legendary status meant that few people dared to confront him, but Elam, never one to sugarcoat his feelings, didn't hold back in private interviews. 2. John Wayne. Although many Western actors looked up to John Wayne, Elam had a complicated mix of admiration and dislike. He recognized Wayne's charisma and box office appeal, but hated what he considered Wayne's ego and bossy presence on set. He had this way of looking at you like you just committed a crime by blinking too slowly, Elam said. Elam resented Wayne's tendency to take over scenes, believing that Wayne's performances sometimes left little room for other actors to shine. While Wayne represented the ideal of the Hollywood cowboy to many, to Elam, he symbolized a rigid, almost dictator-like approach to acting that stopped creativity. 3. Marlon Brando. Elam's dislike for Marlon Brando was based on Brando's unpredictable and often frustrating behavior on movie sets. Brando could walk in and change a whole scene just because he felt like it that morning, Elam once said. As an experienced actoress to structure and professionalism, Elam found Brando's improvisational genius infuriating when it messed up the rhythm of filming. He respected Brando's talent, but couldn't stand the lack of discipline, claiming that working with Brando felt like walking through a minefield where anything could go wrong at any moment. 4. Steve McQueen. Steve McQueen, known as the King of Cool, was another actor Elam had little patience for. He considered McQueen aloof and self-centered, especially when it came to stunts and action scenes. Elam said, "You're supposed to work as a team," but he'd insist on doing everything his way, like the whole set existed for his big jump or chase scene. It got old fast. Despite McQueen's undeniable charm and talent, Elam's distaste grew from the frustration of feeling secondary or overshadowed in scenes that required true teamwork. 5. Kirk Douglas. Elam's distaste for Kirk Douglas was more personal than professional. While he acknowledged Douglas's commitment to his craft, he often criticized what he saw as Douglas's aggressiveness and relentless ambition. That man could bulldoze a whole crew just to get a better angle for his close-up, Elam joked. He felt that Douglas's relentless drive sometimes bordered on ruthlessness, creating tension and stress on sets where collaboration should have been the priority. 6. Elizabeth Taylor. Rounding out the list was Elizabeth Taylor, whose legendary beauty and charisma often hid a reputation for being difficult to work with. Elam was blunt. She could charm a room, but try working with her when she wasn't in the mood. You'd swear the cameras were your enemy. He found her changeable temperament and diva-like tendencies exhausting, and while he respected her screen presence, he considered the challenges of filming alongside her as a test of patience and endurance. Jack Elam's list of disliked actors reveals a fascinating side of Hollywood's behind-the-scenes dynamics, highlighting that even the most talented performers could inspire strong emotions in their peers. His comments, often honest and colorful, underscore the tension between fame, ego, and collaboration in the film industry. While Elam's own career thrived on his ability to support and enhance films without seeking the spotlight, his critiques of these stars illustrate that even a legendary character actor had his limits when it came to professionalism, personality clashes, and on-set behavior.